there are rumors that the next Halo is going to have a battle royale.
I mean, it's the thing to do now.
I know that it's. I think it's just getting overplayed, dude.
All the battle royals.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Like
it's a trend.
every game has a battle royale.
But guys like their certain genres.
No, I agree with that, but to me, it's like to play regular multiplayer on an FPS game, like either Call of Duty or Halo or something like that. Like I get bored doing that. I get less bored doing a battle royale because obviously every match is a little bit different or whatever. I just wish that there was just a different. I don't know, just something. I'd rather be like an open world first person shooter, like like Skyrim, like online, like Elder Scrolls Online, but first person shooter.
Yeah. What was that game we were playing before this?
Apex Legends.
Uh, no, not Apex. The other one that was open world third person.
Oh,
Uh,
uh, Tom Clancy, Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
yeah.
So something like that, but first person. Um, like this. Okay, this is what I'm thinking is like. Hold on one second. Um, it'd be a first person shooter, right? And instead of like every match you land and you whatever is if you die, you when you respawn, like you lose everything. Right? Your dude's dead.
Yeah.
You lose all your gear and all that, which is fine. But it's not like you have to go back to the lobby, restart the game, do all that, right? You die, you lose your shit. If you find the dude, everybody can loot your entire body in the game, right? So kind of like PUBG or whatever, like or even this game, they can loot, but they can loot your Cry precision cargo pants, your fucking,
Right.
and you have like a Under Armour thermal undershirt because weather gets involved in this game, right?
Yeah.
So you want like if you're like in the game Scum, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's on PC, I think. If like your clothing gets wet, right, it actually weighs you down because and it depending on how much more clothing. If you're like say you have um a super thick hoodie on because it's cold on, and then you have a jacket over it, and then you have your gear. If it gets wet, then it causes like more weight, right? But if you put on like rain gear, which will repel the water, it it prevents that from happening. Like where it's that intricate, but first person shooter where it's like, hey, okay, like every piece of gear or everything you wear matters,
Right.
right? So everything matters that you pick up. The customization of your gun, you just go through the world and you find different stuff. You can complete missions. You can customize your gun by finding better optics, that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be so realistic where it's like like in the game DayZ, like if you pick up a magazine, you have to pick up each individual bullet, put it in your hand, and then load your magazine, and then load it into the gun. Like I don't need it to be that fucking realistic because I don't. I'm trying to escape reality into a game, right? I don't want to sit there and be like, "Fuck, dude." It's just like I'm at the fucking range and I'm fucking filling up ammo cans all day, or you know what I mean? Like or like I'll sit there fucking, you know, um, loading mags, two and two, two and two. So, but like realistic enough where every piece of gear matters. The type of weapon you have obviously matters, right? But there's always going to be like they're going to have to balance different weapons and stuff like that. But everything is lootable off somebody. You can everything down to like their undershirt, their pants, their fucking the overvest. If they either have like a carrier that just has no plates, like
Except you don't
sit.
wear underpants.
Well, that's you and I. So in game though, you might have
Oh.
underpants. I'm not talking about while you're playing naked on your chair.
Uh,
You know,
no, I got on just shorts, man.
yeah, but they're at your ankles.
Hey, man, don't judge.
I'm not judging, dude. The camera on the stream is nipple line up, so y'all don't know that I'm naked as fuck underneath this shit. But I think that would be like, I think a lot of people would get into a game like that.
I like those kind of games where it's a little bit more squad based
Yeah.
with objectives, or a complete open world, you know.
Yeah, I think
That-
so. I think how the life of that game would go, as far as like longevity speaking, right? Is obviously they start off with like, say, a 200 square kilometer, world, whatever, like I don't know, the size of, like, say, Breakpoint. And then obviously as they start to develop, they add more to the world. Like you can access now, like, another continent, or whatever. Like you obviously, they add more, just like other games do. They always add in new maps, whatever. But all they're doing is they're expanding this game, or expanding the territory that you can explore. But like, the replayability about it is, obviously, if you die, you're pretty much starting all the way over. It's pretty hardcore. But if you can form alliances, like, I'm not really into the whole base building thing, like being like a huge, like, component, like, okay, like everybody builds a base, but you could definitely, like, take over a stronghold, right? Like, so if there's a, say, an old rundown mall or something, and you
like
can,
the gulag or something.
yeah, you could fortify, or like the prison on Warzone, right? Like, you could fortify that area, and you and your squad, so to speak, and you can have it as in, like, you can have squads up to, say, 20 dudes, right? And 20 dudes would be part of like a regiment, or you can have them as like the Proud Boys, like that type of thing, where it's like what are those, Patriots, but you know what I'm talking about, like, militias. So you could be like, okay, you can form up to a 20-man militia, so to speak, and it's like a guild. But you would call them militias and be like, hey, and you guys have your own emblem, you have what you guys stand for, kind of thing. You could either be, you could either be a militia, or you could form a 20-man gang, where you just go around trying to fuck people up, right? And loot and pillage people and do shit like that. Like, you can do like different things in the game depending on your type of play style. If you want to just like go around and fight PvE, like, versus the environment, and try to get good loot, and just do you can do that. But there's always that chance that somebody's out there, to while you're fighting that taking over that base, somebody's going to sneak in behind you and fuck you up while you're busy.
Right.
So, like, there's always that risk versus reward thing. But yeah, I'm telling you, like, that, I think, like, over the battle royales, like, you have a game like that, where you have that replayability factor, and then you have enough realism that it makes it interesting, and it makes it, like, challenging, but not so realistic that it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? I gotta pick up one bullet, load it in a magazine, then put it in my gun, and then I can shoot
Right.
with, like, that would just annoy the fuck out of me. But you have, like, you know, and you don't have to go the zombie genre, or you don't have to go the World War I genre. You can do it like, kind of like a modern warfare type thing, where it's like modern day, post 2020, dude. It could be the game could be called 2021. Like, literally, the fucking January January 2021 is the start of this fucking game, dude. And it's like, you know, some cities are not pillaged and looted, right? They're not set ablaze, just like in America. So there's some cities that have been ruined, some cities that are not. Right? You can have like a map like that, where like some cities aren't just fully abandoned. They have a thriving, non-playable characters. They're just computer characters running around their business, right? And then you have other ones that are, say, at war. Like, it's just, militias are constantly coming in, or like there's a dictatorship, or like something going on in there, and you can either join in and help defend the city, right? Defend the people that are trying to defend their city, or you can be a part of the people trying to take down the city. You have that option, and you don't have to be like, I'm always going to defend the city. You could be like, no, fuck that city. Like, a bunch of dudes that, from an enemy militia came from that city. Fuck that. I'm going to go help pillage that city. Like,
Right.
you imagine, like, how many people would put a lot of hours into playing a game like that. Like, I'd fucking play a game like that, because I love, MMORPGs. I love those type of games. Those are actually my favorite type of game. Especially, like, obviously the high fantasy, style. Like I'm super excited for this one to come out called Ashes of Creation. But it's not a first person shooter. It's a third person RPG, right? Using magic and, swords, weaponry, armor, shit like that. There's you
Like
miss out.
Skyrim.
Yeah, it's like that Elder Scrolls, yeah, that type of genre. But it's you got to look it up. Ashes of Creation is going to be an amazing game when it comes out. But it's I think 5 years into production, so they probably have at least another 2 years to go. I say at minimum. But the
Is it a is it a PC game?
yeah, it's gonna be PC from as everything that I see so far. And if when you play the MMORPGs and you look at how they're developing this game and how they're making this game, it's definitely like a breath of fresh air if they're able to pull off all the systems that they're doing. But they've been
Right.
very, very transparent on how that they're developing the game, and they do a lot of like dev updates, developer updates. They show you the progress that they're making, and the game just looks amazing. But I think when you have a game like that, that's a niche, right? You have those fantasy style RPG players like us that want to play that, but you don't hit the mass gaming community because you have people that solely like FPSs, right? Like Mark, for example, wouldn't really be into playing a fantasy MMORPG. He would not be into playing World of Warcraft. He's not into playing, you know, Guild Wars 2. He's not into playing Skyrim. He's not into playing that. But he does like first person shooters. So
Mhm.
you'd be able to actually like get his money, right? In his business because you developed a first person shooter that is very competitive, very much a lot of replayability, but it's never the same thing. You never have the exact same day every single day. It's not like, you always land in the exact same map and you just figure out where you're going to land. And you might land and get a gun and shoot somebody and kill them, or you might just get shot out of the air. Like, yeah, there's replayability there, but you're doing the same thing every single time. It's always last man standing. Versus this game, it's like literally the world's your oyster. You can decide if you want to, you know, go help a town and take on missions for them. And when you do that, you get money, or you get, say, they give you like, hey, like this town is known for making, or they make Leopold optics, and you want 4x by up to 10x Leopold for your gun. You might go to that city and complete a mission because they'll give you be like, hey, we're not,
Reward you with something.
yeah, they'll reward you with, say, like you know the schematic to make your own, or they can just give you one. But if you get the schematic instead, yeah, you might have to go and say purchase, or you might have to go find the materials for it. But once you learn how to make it, even if you get killed, when you respawn, all the recipes that you knew how to make, you keep. The gear
It's
you
like
don't.
going. Yeah. It's like an experience.
Yeah, so it's like, hey, you might be like, hey, I want this Leopold optic. I want it really bad right now for this gun. I'll do another mission some other time and I'll get the schematic. And you decide that the reward is you get that Leopold right now. You don't have to go find, you know, glass that you have to refine into, viewable glass, or, get some metal and you have to get it, machined into the housing, right? You don't have to do all that. The gratification is you get the optic right then and there. The risk is, though, that if you get killed, somebody takes your optic, and now you have to go back through, do another mission to either get a new one or to learn the schematic and do it yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, that alone would add even more risk versus reward, which I think that's what really captures people in those type of games is, how risky is it? Like, hey, this dude could be bait. He looks like he's by himself. I could go in there and kill him and take his shit, but what if he's their rabbit? He left all his shit with his buddies that are all camping waiting for you. You go engage him, and then you get murked, and they take all your shit, and he didn't have anything to begin with. It's like that. Like, oh fuck. And then you have, people who have headsets. You have full on local chat open if you want to participate, right? So obviously if for my kids, I'd probably turn it off so they don't have to hear people fucking, acting like idiots. But if you have it on, it's not like in Call of Duty where you have the death chatter where you get, 3 seconds of them like going, oh, fuck,
Yeah.
This would be like if you're inside of a house and I hear you, I could be on the outside of the house and be like, yo, like, are you friendly or what's up?
Right.
Right. And they could be like, oh, yeah, there's only one of me in here. And you're like, fuck. Or if it's like, super quiet in there and you don't think they can hear you, you know, get on. If you have a car that has, say, a PA, it would amplify the sound to where they could hear you, but then enemies might be able to hear you further away. Right. Like you can do like, there's so much shit you could do with that to make it just fucking interesting, dude, and make it like cool. You could have vehicles be a thing, where you can customize your vehicle, but you know, the risk is you have to put gas in it, right?
Right.
You got to find gas stations that one are operational. So if you went to like a city that's been, burnt to the ground and it's just like a, post-apocalyptic looking city because everything's fucked up and the gas has been completely drained and nobody's ever refilled the gas, you might have to go to like a more populated city that still has a gasoline supply, or you might have to do a mission that gives you gas, if you want to continue driving your car and your car is customizable, but somebody can just come and steal your car, like a GTA kind of thing. You just roll up and fucking, you know,
Jack him, shoot him, and jack him.
or be like, hey,
Take
like,
the underwear and the car.
yeah, be like, hey, drop all your weapons. You can keep your gear, just drop your weapons, and we're taking your car. And then you're just like, fuck, you drop your shit, but you don't want to die because then you lose all your shit. You just drop it on the ground. They take your car and they just jacked you, but you're like, fuck it, at least I didn't die. And you pick up your guns and fucking go find a different car. Like, you can even have that be a thing,
Right.
like that. I don't know. I think I would fucking play the fuck out of that game. It'd be fun.
Well, one thing's for sure: the future of gaming is definitely increasing. It's it's going to be interesting to see what the next trend is. You know.
Yeah.